As we are running to the 108th minute mark, I wanted to talk about Monday Night Football. Where were you at? How did you see that? And what are your thoughts about from a parent lens, from a father lens about what happened?
Well, I was watching it here at the house.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we watch a lot of football. We watch a lot. My wife and I watch a lot of sports, and we actually were talking about this. I was like, I, it's terrible to watch, right? It's terrible to see. I think it's a blessing that his mother was actually at the game. I can't imagine how she would feel being in my position. Like she's on their couch, chilling, regular day. Probably had a normal ass day. You're chilling. You're like, oh, my baby's about to play on TV. This is a big deal. He probably talked to her about the game and the significance of the game. You know what I mean? Like this is if her son's in the NFL, like this is she's been going to games forever. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
she's a football fan too, right? So this is just like another day at the park, right? Another day at the ballpark, and you understand like there's some level of like injury concern, right?
Mm-hmm.
But like you expect like ACL, like all right, it sucks, but you kind of expect that there's going to be ACL tears, there's going to be bad physical injuries like that occur all the time. And as a parent, I would say she probably would be desensitized over time of like things like that, broken arms, broken. You know what I mean? Like if you get to that, you've been playing so long, you're bound to have something like that happen to you.
True.
But to know that like your son is on a football field getting CPR for like 9 minutes or whatever crazy amount number, however long it was, and thinking about like they had to rip through the padding and try to get to this dude's heart. I mean, if they're doing that CPR, that means his heart was stopped.
Right.
The man died. Like he was not breathing. I can't imagine how she felt. Like helpless, because you can't just run onto the field. They're not going to let you do that. Whether you're a parent, like you got to be like, I don't even think they let Tom Brady's mama run onto the field like that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like, so you're just helpless. You don't know what to do. You don't know like, is he okay? Is it just like, you probably just think it's like a regular injury and he just can't move or he's winded, and then like CPR, and then they had to. I think they had to use the was that shit called?
Defibrillator.
Defibrillator
Yeah.
in the
Uh-huh.
middle of a field, like
Yeah.
in front of like 50,000. Like that's like showing you like, yo, there was no time to spare. Like we have to act right now. So I can't even imagine. I can't even fathom how she was feeling in that moment. But I am happy that she was there
Mm-hmm.
because she was able to go to the hospital and like she's able to be there within proximity because this was an away game because they were playing at Cincinnati,
Yep.
right? He plays for Buffalo, so there could have been a different scenario where she's in maybe Buffalo or wherever he lives, and maybe she lives close by, and she's watching this shit on the TV
Right.
like that. Now you really feel helpless because then think about everything that comes in after that. Like now you gotta like sit on it and think
Right.
about it, and then you gotta try to book a flight, and then you know how the flights shit's going right now. I mean, this kid is, he's in the NFL, but he's not big balling. He was a 6th round draft pick last year,
Mm-hmm.
so he's not like he's making millions of dollars, buku money.
What, 300K?
300 maybe.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? 300K. Um, that's good money. Obviously, that's good, but that's not like forever. It's not life changing. That's one
No.
year. That's a 1 year salary. That's not guaranteed to roll over because
Exactly.
you weren't top pick. So imagine if she was like in Buffalo or wherever they're from,
Right.
and having to make that flight over there, and then having to like get there and like all these things have already happened, and you're like kind of just stuck, not knowing what to do. Like that has to be probably one of the worst feelings that you will have as a parent. I'm assuming is feeling helpless
Yeah.
because for some, even though it's not your fault, you probably feel at fault.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to feel that burden because that's your seed, and I can't imagine how she's feeling. I hope she's doing well. I mean, I hope she has her own support group. or like of people around her who are having her back, because that's tough. I mean, I think he's still in critical condition.
Feeling great. Yeah.
I don't think he's waking up yet. I don't think they've taken him
No,
out.
I'll go into it, but keep talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like that is just like that's what I was thinking about. I was like like what are the odds that she was at this away game?
Right.
Like what were the odds of that she was in Ohio at this away game instead of maybe just watching it on TV like most people do for most of the away games of their children. You don't really see parents travel like that unless their
No.
kids are balling. So like
It's
that was just kind of like I don't know. It was really sad, man. It was, and then he's young. I mean, he's 24,
yeah, he's super
24.
young. That's the part that got me.
That's tough. Like he's 24 years old, and his career. I mean, and then like I was watching Get Up this morning, and like Dominique Fox was just speaking on like he's like don't he like made this like claim like don't take this as tasteless. He's like what I'm thinking about is like this young man's life trajectory has just totally changed. Like even if he recovers, he's probably never going to play football again.
No.
He
No.
has not played long enough to get like I think it's 5 years before you get a pension in the NFL. I met some dude. He played in the NFL. I think he played 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he told me it's 4 or 5 years you have to make it through in order to get like the benefits of an NFL player. He's not gonna get that. He's a 6th-round pick, so he's not making like life-changing money. And it's like so thinking about like the after effects.
Right.
So yeah, he gets healthy and he comes back, right? But like now, what is his life going to look like?
Right.
He just went from the pinnacle what he worked his whole life for of his first 24 years, and now it gets taken. It's basically taken away, and like the NFL isn't. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to give him anything.
Right.
They don't have to do anything, and that part is like even more terrible if he's able to make a full recovery, because you think about like the psychological damage that's going to produce.
Let's hope the NFL does do something, like the NBA did for. Remember that one draft pick from Baylor, and he was going through the offseason NBA combine workouts, and they figured out that he had some type of heart defect.
Yes.
And then they did like the whole draft ceremony, and he was like drafted, like he was drafted, but he wasn't in the draft. But the NBA actually like hooked him up with certain perks just to keep him in the
NBA is
family.
also a little bit more progressive.
Mm-hmm. NBA is way more progressive.
Yeah, they're way more progressive.
The owners are more progressive. It trickles down. It's they're way more like NFL is kind of like good old boys, and then you have the NBA who's way more left leaning than NFL. My whole take about this is that. Well, first let me go on this first. That helpless feeling about family members when you're away. When I was in Denver, my third year, my dad, he had a heart attack, and I was out in Denver, and I had to go to San Diego. And that time from Denver to San Diego was, I would say that was like the worst moment of my life. Because you're right, you're helpless, you can't do anything about it. You got to book flights, you got to figure out like, I had a place to stay. San Diego, I always got places to stay. But it was just that feeling of, man, what am I going to go see? Like, am I going to have to do some preparations? You're thinking the worst, like you're just crying, you're bawling your eyes out, you're just emotional and everything. So like, I'm with you on that. I'm so glad that she was in the building to be there, so then she doesn't have to go through that worry, because that whole worrying thing, it'll shave years off of your life, man. It's crazy stress. You just hopelessness, very, very hopelessness. Now, I was giving little White Eyes a bath, and wasn't even thinking about the game, and I was gonna go in there and watch the game with him, because normally Monday Night Football I turn it on, and then like we watch it till he falls asleep. It's a kind of a little tradition on Monday nights that we do, and I go to turn on the game, and I was like, man, what's going on? And Twitter's undefeated. Like, Twitter will show you everything. This is like, I would say 25 minutes into after the situation happened, after the incident. And I saw the incident, and people were spreading it left and right. And that's another thing. We'll get into that too, about people on social media spreading that stuff. Because like it's the gift and the curse. Like I always say about social media, the gift and the curse. But so I see what happened, and I was like, oh my goodness gracious, this is crazy. And just to see the players, like you can tell that football is a brotherhood, and you can tell like why like I had no problem crying in front of the students that we coach, the student athletes that we coach. Because the bond is crazy. You're in such a violent game, and the person next to you needs to do their job for you to be successful. And in that forms like a very strong brotherhood. I mean, I've never been into a locker room before. I played on some flag football teams in my early 20s that we were pretty damn good, and I got friends that are lifetime friends to this day. We still talk about those days. There's playing flag football. I couldn't imagine playing tackle football, the most violent game on this earth, maybe besides rugby, that is so uniting and so family-oriented. So when you see one of your brothers, even if he's only been on the team for like 1 year, but he's been to practice, OTAs, conditioning, all this stuff, film room, you spent more time with him than your family, and you watch that happen, and especially if you've never seen anything like that before. Not a lot of people have seen any catastrophic event happen like that. First of all, that's a traumatic event that caused trauma to everybody in the stadium, the fans, concessions, the TV crew, Susie Kohlberg, and the ESPN Adam Schefter, who had to
They were shook.
Oh man, it just reverberated. Everybody felt it. It was a tidal wave of emotions that just everybody can feel it. I pray for that young man. I hope he survives this. 9 minutes of CPR is unheard of. And especially I hope they were able to find oxygen to his brain, so then afterwards he can have something after this event.
Correct.
So this doesn't define his life. I pray for that. I pray for his whole family, because I couldn't imagine how they're feeling, because like you said earlier, they've been to so many games since Pee Wee Pop Warner. This is routine. This is nothing to them. But they're just seeing it out on the highest level and probably reaping the financial benefits of it, because usually these football players take care of their family. Everybody talks about family first. They take care of their family. I just hope that he comes out of this and that we have a happy ending to this, because this turned a lot of people off from football. You know what I mean? It makes you think twice about wow, I just watched a man basically die on the field today. And I wonder if that's going to happen to my son. I wonder if this could be my son, next. Even the percentages are very small, but I would rather something else. I don't care, exactly. That's my kid. That's my kid. I'm here to protect you. I am supposed to die first. You see, I'm living. I'm gonna watch you live my life until I'm dead. You're not supposed to die before me. That's not supposed to happen. You're my legacy. This is not supposed to happen. So I hope he comes out of this, man, because that right there, I was sitting there holding my son, literally holding him so tight, and he probably couldn't fall asleep because I was holding him so tight, and I was just dang, and you start getting emotional, and start looking at him and stuff, and I was like, damn, I couldn't even imagine.
Yeah, I hope he does. I hope he pulls through, and I hope he's able to rebound, because that's tough, man. I can't imagine. Can't imagine how that feels. Like you said, your kids are supposed to see. Your kids are supposed to bury you. Your kids are supposed to bury you, and when it's the opposite way, no one's happy.
No one's happy. No. Man, if 10 years from now, man, if I end up kicking the bucket for some odd reason, hey, at least I had 10 strong years with this little young boy that I can already implement on him, and like I'm cool with that. But I just couldn't imagine that be reversed though, man. That's just insane, dude. That's just insane. Um, any? Oh, wait. Before we get into final words, Skip Bayless. You see his tweet?
Yeah, I think people misread it.
You think it was a misread?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't think it was a misread. I think it was more of like,
I think it was just.
why are you talking about this right now? And this dude
it was too objective for the moment. I think that's what it was.
That's what it was. That's what it was.
It was just it was too objective. Like no one wanted. His point was valid, but it was not the right timing for it.
Right.
No one wants to care about like when is this game gonna get remade.
Right.
Did he have a point? Yes, he has a point. Why? Because the season ends next week. This game is on the standings. They're a game apart from one another. There's a lot of playoff implication. I get all that. That is still like, say what you want to say, but that's his job. I mean, he's doing his job. Was it the right moment? No. Do I think I don't know. I don't know the motherfucker, so I don't care anything about this dude. Like, he's just a TV personality. I read his tweet. Like I said, it was just bad timing. Bad timing. But if you read the whole thing, he says, like, this dude means more than the game, but I'm just bringing this up as, like, I wonder how this is going to play out.
Right.
Because this man's life means more to this game. But in the NFL, historically, it's always been business as usual.
5 minutes.
Like that's been the motto of just like other people have passed away. Like they were talking about it this morning. Other folks who've passed away, like in the locker room, or shit like after a game, and the next week there's a game again. So like that's the point he was making. Timing was just off. I think the timing was off. I'm not gonna say I don't know.
Timing was terrible.
I don't know the man. Terrible. I don't know the man. I just saw the tweets like, "Oh, he needs to be canceled," and well, I don't know the person to pass judgment. I don't know this guy. I know him on TV. I don't know this guy. I don't know anything about him other than I've seen him on TV. I have a Jordan Tribune from when we won the championship hanging in my daughter's room, and Skip Bayless wrote the column for it when he used to work in Chicago. That's all I know. I'm not passing judgment on people I don't know. I just think his timing was off. Don't think he said anything bad. Thought the timing was terrible. He talked about it this morning. I didn't get to watch it or listen to it.
Right.
But I know he started the show by himself. I don't know if that was because like he wanted to like just be out there and just have to speak on his remarks by himself.
Right.
And not get Shannon Sharp involved in it. But he did start the show by himself today, and it was like talking directly to the camera about clarifying everything he was saying. So that might be worth a good listen.
I think just from him, he's built up that negative equity like over the years on how he's, it displayed himself on television as like the bad guy. The way he goes in on LeBron. And then the one tweet that killed everybody was the one where he's talking about his son. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about like a high school athlete at that point. Like and then the name calling, calling Russell Westbrook, and like that kind of stuff. He's playing terrible. Last season he was playing awful. And he definitely deserves to be criticized for his play. But at the same time, to name call like that, it's just you're better than that. We're not over here like in middle school anymore. You're better than that. So I just think that
LeBrick.
Yeah, with LeBrick and then also too a couple weeks ago that whole thing with him and Shannon. That back and forth that they had. I don't know. Did you see that?
Yeah. When he was talking about like him and Brady.
Yeah. And how he made it personal. That like, dude, Shannon Sharp is like the top 3 tight ends. I would say like it would be Gonzalez, and Antonio Gates, Gronk, him. You know what I mean? I say
And
Gronk before
Kelsey.
Antonio Gates. So I would say like Gronk, Tony Gonzalez, Antonio Gates,
Kelsey. I
Kelsey,
think
and then like
Kelsey.
you have guys coming up like Kelsey, exactly. So, you know, he's a Hall of Famer. He has a right to talk about that, but the disrespect is crazy. I just think that he needs to get his not politically correctness, it's more sensitivity. Like that's your boy Shannon. You know what I mean? Like he rides out for you. You know he wanted to do the show with you. You know, like you don't disrespect the people. Like if you're gonna have a disagreement on this platform, man, I'm not gonna ever see anything personal to rile you up or even misstep and mistake because I know at the end of the day it's an argument. We're gonna disagree on it. You know, you might be totally wrong, but at the same time, I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna make it
Yeah.
personal. You know,
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and that's what
He
that's
yeah. He takes shit to the. He sometimes he takes shit personal, but like that's just like some little old white man shit. Yeah, you gotta remember, he's a little ass white. Like that's just. You know, sometimes old white men do shit like that, man, and that's because that's when you know you won. So when
Yep.
you get to that point, then I know I won, bro.
That's true.
I know I won. So sit your ass down over there, man.
Yeah,
So
man, that's
Skip Bayless, be better.
true. Yeah, Skip Bayless,
Just
be
better.
better. Be
Just
better. Be
Before
better.
I have to.
Be better.
I need something to watch. They
Right?
already changed first things first to like 3 o'clock in the afternoon for some fucking
Yeah, that new that
show
I don't know about that
sucks.
new time. I like it earlier in the morning.
I hate that Cannon show, whatever his name. That show sucks. don't
I never
watch
watch it. I never. It's that guy, the New York guy, right?
It ruins my morning because now I have to watch Get Up, and
Mhm.
I don't love Get Up. And
It's just the same. The cast of characters they have on Get Up. It's just and also too the thing like First Take. It's I don't know.
I like Colin Howard. What's his name? The Herd.
The Herd of Colin Coward. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've always been a fan of Colin Coward since back in San Diego.
He's legit. I love.
Yeah.
And he has a 3 hour show, and I can watch
Right.
the whole 3 hours.
I listen to his podcast all the time because I'm not able to catch all 3 hours, so I always listen to the podcast. I like his insight, and then also too like he's accountable for like like where he's wrong and like
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I like that. Where Colin was right, where Colin's wrong. He's been doing that shit for years.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, it's
Especially
great.
when he was on ESPN, I used to listen to him a lot too when he was on ESPN. I've always loved, and my dad's a really big fan of Colin Coward too. And I was like, yeah, listen to Colin, yeah. So